with a matter of a minute, one can achieve great bliss and a void state, referring to Buddha state. So the minute refers to one short life of hours, whatever, 60, 70, 80, whatever it is. So that is refers to that. And that is made possible because of the mystical aspects of the practice. So Tibetan Buddhism is very rich, not only a very rich, but it's sort of engraved within the practice itself, the mystical aspects of Buddha's teachings, which is known as Vajrayana or Tantra. So the earlier Tibetan earlier teachers are extremely proud of Tibet, such a delicate place, such a difficult place, such a poor state, could manage maintaining the Vajrayana combined with Sudrayana together. Is a sort of Tibetans call this, for generations, they call this unique, extraordinary jewel of Tibet. Tibetans are very proud of it. They are willing to sacrifice that for anything. When there is a corruption comes in that, I mentioned the other day, even the king is willing to lose his life for protecting that. Continuously, Tibet closed its border for 1,000 years for non-Tibetans, not because they don't want the Western education and the civilization. They do want it. They get the selected teachers, the selected British teachers, selected Japanese teachers, selected Russian teachers, very carefully selected and brought in Tibet. Otherwise, the border was shut, closed. Even the President Roosevelt had it difficult to send his envoys to Tibet because the border was shut. Here they have to talk to the Chinese, they have to talk to the British, they have to talk to the Tibetans, and finally the Roosevelt envoys be able to go to Tibet. But they wanted to make sure Tibet is not used as a warpath against the Allies. So that is the major purpose of their mission anyway. So Tibetans sacrifice their development and the contact in the West, fear of losing this unique quality of a combination of Sudra and Tantra. And that was the really treasure my forefathers have maintained life for 2,600 years. Today, thanks to the Chinese communism, is out. It doesn't sit in that little snowbound area. It is out. out throughout the world, including here in Michigan, and I'm middle of nowhere, honestly, sorry, and everywhere else, and wherever you are who are sort of listening on this and watching on this, wherever you are in the middle of Malaysia, middle of Europe, or middle of I don't know, New York City, and anywhere, wherever you are. So this unique treasure has arrived at your doorstep. And that is Tibetan Buddhism. And when I'm talking about it, I like to say one thing. When I'm talking about the quality of Tibetan Buddhism, I'm not saying the other traditions do not have it. I didn't say that. Don't read that way. Every tradition has its own unique quality. If you don't present your own quality, and then you're faulty. But when you are presenting your own quality, it doesn't mean any others don't have that quality. That's for them to present. So I want you to remember, because some people may say, well, he said no other religions have any unique quality except them. I didn't say that. I'm saying this one has this and that quality. So well mentioned in that. Actually, it happens during the India, early Buddha's time. One of the great Indian Mahapandit called Chandragiti. Chandragiti says, Chandragiti was pointing the quality of one of the school called Middle Bath School. And then it hits other schools indirectly. So they accused Chandragiti to having a downfall of despising other dharmas. And he replied, when I'm presenting my own qualities, when it destroys others' schools, there is no fault on that. So he said there's no downfall. So that is the traditionally even Buddhism says that. But I want you to remember, I'm saying the quality of this. I'm not saying the others don't have that quality. So that is one thing. Such a quality is based on three important points: morality, wisdom, the concentration. A lot of people will say Tibetan Buddhism, particularly that of tradition that we follow, Yellow Hat sect, or the Jangwa Lama Tsongkhapa's tradition. A lot of people will say, well, they are scholars, they can talk, they're great, but they cannot meditate. They don't have a Mahasiddhis, this and that. They will say it. Some people say that. Some people say outside Buddhist tradition, some people within the Buddhist tradition, some people within the Tibetan Buddhist tradition will also say it. That is sort of a usual old Tibet for 1,000 years. They have nothing else to do except arguing between the groups. And that's what happens, That's what happens. Your teacher is better than mine because he said pot. And my teacher is better than yours because he said pillar. And so who says a pillar is better than pot, whatever. So that is an old argument, old saying. It doesn't mean much. But truly speaking, all the Tibetan Buddhism and all the Buddhists are one teacher, that is the Buddha. One practice, that is Dharma. So one supporting system, that is Sangha. So the Buddha Dharma and the Sangha, everybody is a student of Buddha, everybody is practicing Buddhism or Buddha Dharma, and everybody enjoys the Sangha support. So actually they do same thing. So maybe you wanted to put your buttons this way, and you'll argue. You say, no, that way. So you argue. So sometimes you do that. So that's not that very big deal. But also I have to say it. The tradition really not only habit meditation, maybe not emphasize the system meditating in group or in an individual, so it doesn't make it into the rule of monastery. So it is made the individual responsibility. Individual practitioners, like the monastery, is responsible for providing teaching, for providing the community which can discussions and all that. So whatever you wanted to do in your own house is left up to you. No one can force you to meditate. No one can force you not meditate. It was up to you and left up to you. The education about meditation is provided tremendously. In our cases, in the case of Joel Hart, we even do have a book called GOM, G-O-M, GOM. That is the total meditation. It's not a book, it's a transcript, but it's valuable. And so it is a solid meditative state. And that is one of the legs of three important legs here. Concentration, morality, and wisdom. A must, all three must. If you don't have a morality, you don't have a foundation. If you don't have a concentration, you have no way of getting it. If you don't have a wisdom, you do not know what to concentrate, what to think. So honestly, wisdom provides material for you to focus. Concentration provides the training to be able to focus on the subject that your wisdom give it to you. Otherwise, you can concentrate on the tree branch. And when you look at that, there's a tree branch. So you can keep on concentrating. You will gain stability of mind, and besides that, you're not going to go much. Not much. As I told you, one of my teachers, during my young age, I have a little retreat area, cave, given to me by my father, who is also great well-known incarnate Lama. That was presented to him from another great master, that cave. All the Zhe tradition, cutting through the Zhe tradition was coming from that Lama called Tibetan Rinpoche. Tibetan Rinpoche's cave was presented to my father, he gave me. So I used to go there during my study breaks with my teachers and a few friends sitting in the cave. It is a very luxurious cave. Funny way, beautiful two caves in the rock, and then build a little living room, kitchen, and courtyard, and even running water in Tibet. Can you imagine? So it is the middle of the rock, and there is a spring, one of those little spring up there. And so they put little bamboo lines through the rock and get into the cave, and then they put prasad on it. So you can turn that and get the waters and then turn it off. So running water, I have that. And probably for the first time, maybe, in Tibet. But in that cave, we go and practice, memorize, learning, meditation, and all this. And there are a lot of those lizards there, big lizard in the middle of the rock. And even sometimes the lizards fight, huge fight they do. And I have a little room, and there's a square courtyard, and they fight in that courtyard. They stand up. It's almost like the Geico thing, They stand up and fight that way, really. And then one day my teacher called me, saying, they used to call me Kusho, Kusho. So they called me Kusho. I said, yes. She said, look here. And look, a lizard was sitting on the rock, and a hot rock, and sort of grabbing the hot rock, and opened mouth on the top, on the peak of the rock, going like this. And he looked at it, I said, so what's there? He said, that's called lizard meditation. So lizard is waiting for the air to come and heat his chest. You know what happens? The lizard fights with the scorpions, and they will swallow the scorpions. And then they have the heat available, they will digest scorpion. And if there's no heat, scorpion come out of lizard's stomach. So that's why they sit there and do like this. So lizard meditation. So if you don't have focusing point, if you don't have a mental focusing point, let me tell you this, mental focusing point, simply focusing external matters, even including skandhas. Skandhas means aggregates within you, the form, the sound, the smell, taste, touch. What is that 5? So, da, ti, ro, rikcha. Yeah. The form, sound, smell, and taste, and the touch. Even focusing on them may not make much advance for your spiritual development, internal. However, this is a good way to learn focusing, because there's no way of measuring how do you focus. So the physical points are good way of learning focusing, how to measure. But physical focusing may not necessarily be the ultimate spiritual. That's why I said mental focusing point. Tibetan Buddhism provides tremendous variety of mental focusing subjects. And that also, so one very systematic focus, one follows the other. One step leads you to the next step. One step leads you to the next step. So there's such a thing, there's something called Lam Rim in my tradition. Lam Rim, which means the step-by-step paths. Path meaning road through which you go. So it's just a tremendous amount of subject they give you. One master, or at least to gain experience, then move to the next, then move to the next, then move to the next. Ultimately, it will lead you to the Buddha level. So I call this nowadays roadmap to the stage of Buddha. Roadmap to Buddhahood. Because exactly they tell you where you are, where you're going, what you're going. This is solid. Solid. Millions of Buddha's followers followed that path, become Buddha. And we follow that path, we achieve what they achieved. And otherwise, go here, go there, go there, go here, go there, and then what? When I first came in the United States, I have a friend who's still a good friend and is our member in New York. And so very nice couple and a young gentleman. He works with electronics. So he was busy to helping somebody. And he's working for that somebody, some teacher, who will teach you how to walk on the fire. On the fire. So you meditate 7 days, so at the end of the 7th day, you walk on the fire pit from here to there without any difficulty. With the barefoot, you walk on the fire. It's good, no doubt. But after walking on the fire, it's done. Whatever you pay, $100 a day plus walking on the fire is 100. These are 1987, 88, okay? 88, and so the 100 means lot. So that's the end of it. But the true spiritual part is not depends on money. A, B, that's not the end of it. End becomes when you become fully enlightened. And that is valuable with you, and that is a Tibetan Buddhism. Any questions?